Okay, here we go with some hints for this week's homework. First question is a nice wee sum. We remember from BODMAS that we have to do the multiplying before we do the subtraction. So the first thing I'm going to calculate is 3/4 of 7. How do you work out 3/4 of something? Then we divide by 4, and then times by 3. So the first sum I'm going to do is 4 divided into 7. Now for you to get it to work out properly, you're going to have to make it 7.00. So do that divide sum, times it by 3, and then do 7.57, take away whatever your answer is to get your final answer. Question 2 in the equation. So, as we're doing in class, take 2x off of there, take 2x off of there, then deal with the positive 3, and then you can work out what x is. Question 3, some work with integers. Well, there's not an awful lot to say here. If we're using our little counters that we were in class, okay, I can't show white on my white background, but I'll show yellow. So we start with 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, start with 5. Now I want to take away negative 3 from that. Well, I don't see any negatives, so I have to put 3 negatives in. Remember, to compensate, we need to then put 3 positives in. Once we've done that, I can now take away my 3 negatives. Oops, sorry, wrong button. I can now take away my 3 negatives. So if I take away my 3 negatives, then that obviously leaves me with 8 positives. Then I have to go through the process of doing the next stage, which is to add on the 4 and then add on a negative 6 to get your answer. Remember, there's a part B. I'm not going to do that, but it's very similar to the first part. Question 4, the people who are absent from the university. The question says there's 23% absent. Okay, so we need to work out 23% of 8,000. So get 10% first of all. That should be nice and simple for you. Get 1%, which should also be nice and simple for you. Times this one by 2 to make 20. Times this one by 3 to make 3. Add them together, and that'll be your 23%. Okay, now out of those 23%, the question says 75% returned. Okay, but if you look at the very question, it's asking you how many students were present on Tuesday. So rather than actually working out the number who returned, let's just work out how many are still off. So if 75% return, then that means there's 25% still absent. So if I work out 25% of this number, then that's the number who are still absent. So if I take that off my 8,000 that I started with, then I'll know how many people's at the school. Question 5 is just a wee jigsaw. So you've got to fit these 3 shapes inside this shape. Now I've just drawn it roughly. Okay, I'll give you a wee clue with the first one. You can do the other one yourself. This shape here, which I've not really drawn properly, it's like a sort of an L shape. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to turn it upside down and flip it around, and you should find that it fits into that top space. Okay, so the first one, that shape fits in there. Once you've got that shape fitting in there, you should be able to fill the other 2 in. Question 6, our good old fractions question. So, deal with the whole numbers. 5, add 4, take away 6. I'll do that for you. 3. Now we need to get a new denominator. So looking at 3, 2 and 9, the first number in the 3 times table, the 2 times table and the 9 times table is 18. So how many 3's in 18? Times 2. How many 2's in 18? Times 1. how many 9's in 18 times 5, and then tidy up. For the second question, it's a division. So we need to turn the fractions top heavy. Remember how we do that? We do 5 times 3, add 3. 5 times 3 is 15, add 3 is 18. So 18 over 5. Now turn the divide into a times by flipping the second fraction. Okay, now if you do some cancelling, 5 goes in, number goes in here and here, that should allow you to reach your final answer. Question 7. Now there are two parts to question 7. The first part is to find the area. So how do you find the area of what we call a composite shape, a shape made up of two other ones, as you work out each one separately? So you've got a half circle, plus you've got a rectangle. Now the area of a full circle is pi r squared. We've only got half a circle, so we're using a half pi r squared. And then we're adding on to that a rectangle, which is length times width. So the big question here is, what's the radius of that circle, and how tall and how wide is the rectangle? Well, the question tells us that the rectangle is too wide. So if the rectangle is too wide, that must mean that the radius of the circle is 1. Because if it's 2 all the way across here, then the radius for the middle to the edge must be 1. So if the radius is 1, so this distance for the centre up to the top is 1, and we know the whole height of the shape in the question is 3.2, so if we know all of that is 3.2, and this bit for the middle up is 1, then that tells us that the height of the shape is 2.2. So I'm going to put 1 in here, I'm going to put 2 in here, and I'm going to put 2.2 in here, and I'm going to work that out. Get all that in your calculator. The second part of the question, what's the perimeter, sorry. So the perimeter is the distance you would walk all the way around the shape. So you would walk around the curved part at the top, down an edge, along the bottom, back up an edge. So what we're calculating is we're calculating a curved part, plus a straight part, plus another straight part, plus another straight part. Again, the distance all the way around a circle is pi times d. We've only got half of that. Plus, we know from up above, the first edge going down is 2.2, the bottom is 2, and the other edge is 2.2. Okay. Only thing we're missing here now is what's the diameter of the circle. Well, the diameter, remember, is the distance all the way across, which we know is 2. So if you plug 2 into that formula, type it in your calculator, you'll get the answer. Question 8, we have a fruit bowl which has got some apples and bananas in it. The ratio of apples to banana is 3 to 2, so set up a wee table, apples and bananas 3 to 2. Now if you add those two together, that gives you 5 pieces of fruit. However, the question says that there's 10 pieces in to start. So if there's 10 pieces in to start, then we need another lot of 3 apples and another lot of 2 bananas. So that now tells us how many apples is in at the start, how many bananas is in at the start. From them, we've got this hungry chap who comes along and eats 2 apples, eats 2 bananas. So you now know how many apples is in, you now know how many bananas is in. If you simplify that like fractions, you'll get your answer. Question, we have the train, or a bus, no, it must be a train. A train leaves at 7:45. When does it arrive, basically is what the question asking. Okay, Mr. Perfect says it's 1:10. So we need to know the time it takes for that train to get from Triangle Town to Square City. So we're going to use the formula for time, and the formula for time is distance divided by speed. What distance is the train travelling at? Its distance is 500 miles. The speed is 80 miles per hour. So on your calculator, you can tell me how long the journey takes. Once you know how long the journey takes, just add it onto the 7:45 and you'll find out when the train arrives. And then you can answer the question, is Mr. Perfect correct? He thinks it's 14:10. Did you get 14:10? Did you not? Write a little explanation. And that's us, guys.